At school, he was invisible. At the reunion, he was unforgettable. What he said into the mic wasn't just classy, it was devastating. It was sophomore year, the kind where the days felt longer and the world still seemed small enough to hold in your hands. The halls of Ridgeway High echoed with the usual rhythms of adolescent life lockers slamming shut, sneakers squeaking. On polished tile, laughter that masked insecurity, and gossip whispered behind cupped hands. Claire moved through it all like someone who belonged. Her golden hair shimmered under the harsh school lights, and her confidence was quiet, effortless. She was popular in that subtle way some girls are, without being cruel, without needing to try. Teachers liked her. Boys admired her. Girls followed. Her lead. Her circle of friends was tight-knit, laughing too loudly at lunch, documenting every outfit and hallway crush like it mattered. Back then, Claire believed she had everyone figured out. And then there was him. Marcus transferred mid-year, just after winter break. No one knew much about him. He showed up with calm eyes, a few notebooks, and a sketchpad that rarely left his hands. He was tall, maybe 6'1", with smooth brown skin and hair cropped close. He always wore earth-toned hoodies and jeans not flashy, but not sloppy either. He spoke softly when called on in class, choosing his words like each one cost something. To most of the school, Marcus was a background character. To Claire and her friends, he was the new guy, but not in the exciting way. Something's off about him, Jenna whispered one day at lunch, twirling her straw in her iced coffee. He just stares sometimes. Totally. He gives off loner energy, another chimed in. Bet he doesn't even stay past spring. Claire shrugged. He's probably just shy, but she didn't argue. She never did. The truth was, she had noticed Marcus. Not in a romantic way, at least not that she would admit even to herself, but in the way you notice a still tree when everyone else is running. He was quiet, but not invisible. Claire sometimes saw him sketching during breaks, faces, buildings, shadows. Once she even passed by as he drew the janitor mopping the floor, his pencil catching the bend of the man's tired back with uncanny precision. There was something intense about how he observed the world, like he wasn't just in it, he was studying it. One day, near the end of spring, Claire had stayed late after art club to help sort materials for a school mural project. The hallway was quiet, the light slanting golden through the windows. As she turned the corner past the art wing, she almost bumped into him. Marcus was standing near the lockers, sketchpad tucked under one arm. He smiled not wide, but real. "Hey," he said, voice low and calm. "I like your mural layout. The way you used symmetry smart." Claire paused, surprised. "Oh, thanks," she replied quickly. She smiled out of politeness, not warmth. Then she turned and kept walking, her footsteps quick against the floor. She didn't look back. She didn't mean to be rude. Not really. But there was something about Marcus that made her feel exposed. He looked at her like he saw her, in a way no one else did. And at 16, that kind of honesty was almost unbearable. She told herself it didn't matter. He'd forget about it. She would too. But Marcus didn't try to speak to her again. And Claire went back to her world of hallway chatter, inside jokes, and curated perfection. Marcus faded into the background, not because he was invisible, but because people like Claire never stopped to see him. The school year rolled on. Spring turned summer. And then, like so many people who passed through the same hallways without ever truly connecting, Marcus and Claire became nothing more than two names in a yearbook. The venue is nothing short of stunning. A sleek rooftop hall perched above the city skyline, its wide glass walls offering a sweeping view of golden afternoon light stretching over rooftops and tree-lined streets. The scent of fresh-cut flowers mingles with oil, nerves, and expensive perfume. Polished floors gleam beneath stiletto heels and loafers, while laughter and the gentle clink of champagne glasses weave through the air like a familiar song. Claire steps through the tall entrance, doors and pauses. She's not the same girl who walked those high school halls 10 years ago. Her hair is shorter now, styled in a clean, modern bob. Her dress is sharp, fitted just right, the color chosen to project elegance without effort. She walks with the poise of someone who's learned how to command attention, yet part of her shrinks slightly under the weight of memory. Everything looks beautiful, but it all feels just a bit too loud, too polished, too much like something staged. Claire forces a smile as she moves through the room, exchanging air kisses and warm, too-rehearsed greetings. Claire, you haven't changed at all. Oh my God, are you still working in branding? Didn't you move to New York? Same people, same jokes, same memories, recycled like old Instagram posts. She nods and laughs at the right moments, but her mind drifts. There's an ache in her chest she can't quite name, like something unfinished or forgotten. Her eyes scan the room between sips of wine. People she once thought she'd never lose touch with now feel like distant echoes. She feels both seen and unseen in the strangest way. Then a microphone crackles to life. The room hushes gradually, voices dimming as the soft hum of the city fades. Beneath the sound of a man clearing his throat, "Thank you all for coming tonight," a smooth voice says, confident and warm. "It means the world to me to host this reunion." Claire turns toward the mic and freezes. He stands at the head of the room, framed by the soft orange of the setting sun behind the tall glass panels. Marcus. He's older, of course, everyone is, but something about him is different. Not just the suit charcoal gray, cut perfectly to his frame, or the way he commands the room with effortless grace. It's something deeper. There's a calm in his presence that silences even the noisiest corners of the venue. The kind of stillness people are drawn to without knowing why. Claire's breath catches. The murmurs begin almost instantly, like wind rustling leaves. Wait, is that Marcus? No way. He owns that gallery downtown, right? He's the one doing all those programs for underprivileged schools. She hears them, but her eyes are locked on him. Her memory flickers. The sketchpad, the hallway, the look he gave her just before she walked away. He hadn't forgotten. And clearly, he hadn't disappeared. Claire watches as Marcus smiles graciously and finishes his short speech. His voice has weight now, his posture confident, assured. When he steps down and begins to mingle, people rush toward him, old classmates who'd never spoken to him before, eager to shake hands, take selfies, drop his name into casual conversation. He moves through the crowd with grace, as if he's grown used to being noticed, but not necessarily impressed by it. Claire's heart beats faster. She didn't expect to feel anything tonight. Nostalgia, maybe? Some brief twinges of regret. But this cocktail of surprise, guilt, curiosity, spins inside her, tightening like a knot. She sets down her drink and slowly crosses the room, weaving between groups of people still caught up in small talk and shallow memories. As she approaches, he turns calm, unreadable, and their eyes meet. "Marcus," she says, voice a touch. Too soft. He gives a polite nod. "Claire." There's a pause. A long one. "You look incredible," she offers, unsure what to say, unsure even why she said it. He smiles, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. "Thank you. So do you. It's been a long time." Claire tries to laugh, but it catches in her throat. "Yeah, it has." Another pause. She can't help herself. "You're the one who organized all this?" He nods again. "Yeah. Wanted to give back to the people who shaped me." There's a flicker in his expression, a subtle shift, like a layer of meaning Just beneath the words, Claire senses it, and for the first time all night, her practiced smile fades. She wants to say something. Apologize, maybe. Ask if he remembers that day in the art hallway. If he remembers her walking past him like he didn't exist. But the words stay trapped. Her mouth opens then closes, and Marcus, ever gracious, steps back slightly as someone else calls his name from across the room. He gives Claire a nod. Kind, but final. Good seeing you again, he says. Then he's gone. Claire watches him disappear into the crowd, surrounded by laughter, admiration, light. She stands still, alone amid the noise, heart pounding quietly beneath her designer dress. Something inside her shifts, like the sudden awareness that the past doesn't stay buried. It lives, breathes, and sometimes it stands in front of you, in a tailored suit, reminding you that the things you ignore don't always stay forgotten. The chatter in the room rises again, but for Claire, it all feels distant now, like the sound is coming from underwater. She's still watching Marcus. He moves with quiet authority, every gesture deliberate, yet unforced. A nod here, a handshake there, a laugh that sounds genuine but never exaggerated. People surround him, now old classmates who once barely acknowledged his presence, clinging to his every word, hoping to be remembered, hoping to matter. Marcus doesn't seem surprised by the attention. He wears his success like the suit on his back, elegant, tailored, but not showy. There's no need to prove anything. That part of his life, it seems, is long over. Claire lingers near the edge of the crowd. She can hear the whispers as they ripple through the room. Is that Marcus Reed? No way. I barely remember him from school. He's the one who started those art programs in the city, right? Yeah. He has a gallery in Brooklyn. Did you see that piece that went viral last year? That was his. Her chest tightens. Not out of envy, but something far heavier. Recognition. Regret. In high school, Marcus had existed at the edges, unnoticed, unnamed. And now, he was the gravity in the room. The axis everyone spun around. She had to admit it. The boy she ignored had become the man everyone wanted to know. Claire shifts her weight in her heels. Her fingers tighten around her clutch as a single memory cuts through the noise. The art hallway. The quiet compliment. Her forced smile. The way she turned her back to him and kept walking. It comes rushing back, not just as an image, but as a feeling. The subtle dismissal. The way she let the walls of popularity and self-protection do the talking. It hadn't seemed like cruelty then. Just standard high school survival. But now, in the glow of his success, it feels like something colder, purer. She wonders, did he remember her? And if he did, what version of her did he carry with him? Her heart hammers as she watches him speak to a group of former classmates, one hand casually tucked in his pocket, the other gesturing as he tells a story that earns scattered laughter. His voice is smooth, full, confident. He belongs in every room he walks into now. Finally, after a few moments of pacing around the edge, Claire steels herself and walks forward. Her heels tap softly across the hardwood floor. Her breath is shallow, uncertain. She rehearses a few lines in her head, clever, casual, disarming. When she reaches him, he's just finishing a conversation. He turns at the sound of her approach, his smile still lingering. And for the briefest moment, the tiniest flicker, Claire sees it. Recognition. Not immediate. Not dramatic, but real. His expression doesn't change much. Just a soft exhale, a quiet pause, like a subtle clock winding back 10 years. Marcus, she says, voice barely above the music. She clears her throat. Hi, he smiles. It's a professional kind of smile. Polite, smooth around the edges. Hey, Claire, right? She nods quickly. Yeah, Claire Montgomery. Another beat, You look. She stumbles slightly and recovers. Amazing. All of this what you've done. It's incredible. His eyes hold hers for a second too long. Claire wonders if he's trying to decide how honest to be. Thank you, he says finally. It's been a journey. She lets out a breathy laugh, nervously tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I mean, back then. Marcus tilts his head slightly. Back then? Claire falters. Her throat dries. Back then, you were always sketching. I remember thinking you were really talented. He doesn't look away, but there's something distant in his gaze now, like he's scanning her words for what's missing. I remember you too, he says, calm, even. Claire's heart thumps. You do? Humor kind. At least. That's what I thought at the time. The words hang between them like dust in sunlight. Claire flinches inside. She wants to confess, to explain that she wasn't trying to be cruel, just young, caught up in the pressure of belonging. But nothing she says now will erase what she didn't do then. I'm glad you came, Marcus says, his voice softer now. It's good to see old faces. Before she can respond, someone calls his name from across the room. A local journalist, maybe. A former teacher. She can't tell. Marcus offers her one last nod. Take care, Claire. And just like that, he's gone again, disappearing into the sea of admiration and awe. Claire remains still, the sounds of the party rushing back in like a wave. She feels smaller now, not because of who Marcus has become, but because of who she let herself be. She turns toward the window, watching the sky shift into soft twilight. The city stretches before her endless, glowing, alive. But all she sees is the face of the boy she once overlooked, now carved in memory with perfect, painful clarity. Claire circles the edge of the room again, drink now long forgotten on a side table. The air feels warmer, thicker somehow, and the ambient chatter that once dulled her thoughts now presses against her, buzzing at the edges of her hearing. She spots Marcus standing near a window, engaged in a conversation with two men she vaguely recognizes as former classmates, maybe, or new admirers. One of them claps him on the back in that overfamiliar, too-late way people often do when they wish they'd paid attention sooner. Claire inhales. Deep, steady. Just be casual. She steps closer, slipping into the lull of conversation as the two men excuse themselves. Marcus notices her. His posture remains relaxed, but his expression is unreadable. Marcus, right? She says lightly, forcing a smile. You've really made a name for yourself. He nods politely, his hands clasped. In front of him. Seems that way. No bitterness. But no warmth, either. Claire sways slightly on her heels, unsure whether to press forward or retreat. Something about his quiet composure is disarming. Not angry, not dismissive, just precise, like he knows exactly what she's about to say. And he's already processed it. She chuckles awkwardly, eyes flicking downward before returning to his. Crazy how things turn out. I guess we never talked much in school, huh? Marcus holds her gaze. There's a calm to him that unsettles her more than anger ever could. No, he says plainly. We didn't. Claire's throat tightens. She opens her mouth to respond, but Marcus beats her to it. I remember you, though. Her heart skips. There's no accusation in his voice. No sting. Just fact. Oh, she says quietly, unsure of what else to say. She braces herself for what might come next, a sarcastic jab, a passive-aggressive remark about popularity, a pointed comment meant to sting. But Marcus just smiles, not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly. You were the girl who inspired. One of my first paintings, he says. Claire blinks. What? He nods slowly. Back in high school. After that day in the art hallway, her stomach drops. She remembers that day like a scar she can't see. I called it Invisible Boy. He adds, voice soft but unshakable. There's a beat. A long, still moment that stretches the space between them. That piece sold for 20 grand. He lets the silence sink in before offering a small, almost imperceptible nod. Thank you. Claire is frozen. She opens her mouth to laugh, to brush it off, to turn the moment into a shared joke, but the sound never quite escapes her lips. Because beneath his calm tone, there's something sharp, not bitter, but razor precise. The words weren't meant to punish her. They were just true. She realizes that the painting, Invisible Boy, wasn't about her. Not directly. It was about him. About how it felt to stand in a hallway and be reduced to nothing by a single glance, a polite smile, and a retreating back. And now, she's the one left standing, struggling to find anything to say. Before she can speak, a woman approaches Marcus, her hand brushing his arm gently. They're ready for you upstairs. The donors are waiting. Marcus turns slightly, nods, then glances back at Claire with that same unreadable expression. Enjoy the rest of the night. He says dot, and then he's gone just like that. Claire watches him walk away, his silhouette framed by the soft light pouring in from the terrace stairs. Applause rises somewhere above, likely for him, and the buzz of conversation swells again. But for Claire, the room has gone quiet. She remains rooted to the spot, lips parted, fingers tightening around the edge of her clutch. Invisible Boy. The words echo inside her, not as an accusation, but as a truth she never had the courage to face. She thought she'd come here to reconnect, to impress, to relive some sanitized version of youth. But standing there in the aftermath of Marcus's words, she realizes something far more unsettling. He saw her, even when she didn't see him, and somehow he turned that moment, one she barely remembered, into something powerful, something lasting, while she, with all her success and style, is left grasping at memories that have grown brittle with time. There is no closure, no apology, no dramatic confrontation, just silence, and the echo of a name she never thought would carry so much weight. Claire doesn't follow him upstairs. She doesn't mingle, doesn't grab another drink, doesn't even glance toward the friends she arrived with. Instead, she stays where she is, still facing the direction Marcus had disappeared. Around her, the reunion hums on, bodies shifting, music playing, bursts of laughter echoing like fireworks in the distance. But she doesn't hear any of it. Her eyes drift across the room, and she sees him again through the tall windows. Outside now, on the upper terrace, Marcus stands surrounded by a semicircle of people, supporters, donors, maybe reporters. Their faces are lit by admiration, their body language leaning in as if to catch every word. Marcus gestures calmly, his voice too far to be heard, but clearly captivating. Someone laughs. Another touches his arm with familiarity. He nods, listens, responds composed and gracious. They see him now, not just his name, or his suit, or the plaque on the gallery wall. They see him, and yet, standing here in the very same room, Claire has never felt so invisible. She slips away from the crowd, unnoticed, and pushes open one of the side doors that leads to the lower terrace. The air outside is softer, touched by the last warmth of the golden hour. The sky above is fading into gentle hues of amber and rose, the sun dipping below the horizon with a kind of quiet finality. She leans against the railing and closes her eyes for a moment. She just breathes. The city stretches beneath her like a memory too large to grasp so many windows, so many lives, so many chances she never took. Behind her, the sound of the party grows fainter, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the distant drone of traffic far below. The golden light warms her skin, but inside she feels cold. It's not bitterness, not exactly shame either. It's the dull ache of hindsight, the kind that settles in your chest and hums softly, reminding you that something could have been different if only you had looked harder, tried more, cared sooner. Her thoughts drift to high school. Not the dances or the football games, but the small things, the overlooked conversations, the passing glances, the people who didn't fit into the easy categories of teenage life. People like Marcus. She remembers how certain she was back then, about who mattered, about who didn't, about who would make it. And she was wrong. Marcus didn't just make it. He rose. But what stings more isn't his success. It's the realization that he did it not because of people like her, but in spite of them. Claire opens her eyes, staring out into the fading light. A soft breeze brushes her hair back, and she folds her arms, as if trying to hold herself together. She wants to tell herself that she was just a teenager, that she didn't know better, that everyone makes mistakes in high school, but that feels like a cheap excuse now, because it wasn't just what she didn't do. It was what she could have. A kind word, a genuine conversation, a moment of presence. And maybe he didn't need it. Maybe Marcus never needed her validation, her friendship, her attention. But she now realizes she needed it. She needed the opportunity to be kind, and she let it pass. Claire pulls her phone from her clutch and glances at it, then slowly lowers it again. What could she possibly say now that wouldn't feel hollow? What apology would matter after 10 years of silence? Some things aren't meant to be fixed. Some are just meant to be understood. She looks back up at the sky. A single bird soars across. The fading sun, its wings slicing the horizon like a brushstroke. She imagines Marcus as he was back then, sketchpad in hand, watching the world quietly, already turning pain into art, already building something beautiful from being unseen. And suddenly, the title of his painting, Invisible Boy, feels like more than just a memory. It feels like a mirror. She turns to go not back into the party, but toward the exit. There's no drama in her departure. No final words. Just the soft click of her heels as she walks away under the dimming light. As she steps into the street. And the evening wraps itself around her like a second skin. A quiet voice speaks in the back of her mind, not Marcus's, but her own. Older and a little wiser now. Never underestimate someone because they don't fit your world. The kindness you withhold today may be the respect you'll regret not giving tomorrow. She breathes in, steady and deep, and walks into the night, not to chase the past, but to carry its lesson. Maybe that's where healing begins.